Do you ever feel like you're stuck on this distant island and you see boats of people and opportunities sailing by, but nobody really seems to notice you're there? And you start a wave, you start a shout, and they look your way, but they don't really see you. Well, that's entrepreneurship. And in this video, I want to share my journey from that isolated island to the mainland and how networking helped me with loneliness. If you're new to the channel, my name is Andre. I'm an entrepreneur and content creator, and I started multiple businesses by now, but recently decided to start my personal brand so that I can help people create and monetize their personal brand as well. Now, in this video, I want to talk about loneliness because I think that's something that we all deal with when it comes to entrepreneurship, especially in the early stages, when you just decide to go on your own path, to kind of create your own lane, then you start to see that separation from your loved ones, from your friends, and it's really tough. And it was for me, so that's why I'm making this video, just to kind of share that journey and share some tips with you and show you how you can overcome that as well. Now, I started to feel that loneliness kick in when I was in high school. I was always really creative. I was really addicted to creating things, to trying new things, and to just think outside of the box. So in high school, for example, I was making music. I was just trying a bunch of things, even with drawing, with like graphic design. And so I saw people kind of look at me in a weird way, in a sense that, oh, like he doesn't really, he's changing, he doesn't want to party anymore, like he's starting to be different. And so I started to feel that separation in a way, and it made me feel good at first. But then as time went on, that loneliness started to get heavier and heavier and heavier. It actually got to one point where it just crushed me mentally because I was just feeling completely by myself. I think the hardest thing for me, especially when I started, was the fact that I had to make some really difficult decisions by myself. So for example, with the creative agency that I started, I had to just make some difficult choices in terms of clients and in terms of contracts, and I couldn't really talk to any one of my friends because nobody in my friend circle actually had a creative agency. So all they could do is just listen. So I think in that case, I just preferred to keep it to myself. But obviously all of that weight is going to pile up, and if you just don't speak to anybody, if you just keep it to yourself, it's going to be really difficult for you to manage. And I think one of my biggest flaws was that I didn't let people in, like, at all. I was just like, I'm gonna deal with this by myself. Like, don't talk to me, just leave me alone, I'm gonna figure it out. But that doesn't work for the long term. What happens is, in this whole entrepreneurship journey, is that you start off really excited. So that's point A, right? You're excited, you're filled with optimism, you're like, yeah, let's go. And you're excited about the whole journey. And then you start walking the path and you see how difficult it gets. And even your own family, you see them that they cannot really relate to what you're doing, even if you're just starting, right? Like the stress is really high. So they cannot comprehend that. So what happens is you start to just keep it to yourself because you realize they cannot really handle the stress that you have. They cannot really handle the problems that you have. So you become more and more isolated, at least in your mind, and you don't really open up. And then the next step is resentment, because you start to actually resent the people in your life for not understanding you. Even though they would want to understand you, you don't let them in at this point because you just feel like they will never get it. And it's just too difficult for you to communicate the problems that you have because you're so different. And then the final point is that of desperation. And in this stage, you just start to lose it. You just started like worry about everything. And you feel like the world is crumbling around you and nothing really makes sense anymore. And I got to that point because I was just isolated. I was by myself. I wasn't communicating at all. I had to make some really tough calls by myself, and a lot of the decisions were bad. Obviously, I was in a survival mode and I didn't really ask for advice in my friend circle or from my family. And I think the loneliness is the price I had to pay to get here. And so when I'm looking back at my own process, I realized that I just resented people. I realized that I told myself that people are not worth my time because they didn't really understand me in college, in high school. My family didn't understand me. But at some point, I had to stop and ask myself, am I letting people in? Am I letting people in, or Am I just pushing everybody that's trying to understand me, trying to help? Am I pushing them away? Because if I am, then I'm the one to blame, not the others. And I'm so ambitious as an entrepreneur and as a creator that when I'm telling people my vision and they don't really seem to get it instantly, I just disregard them. I just go like, yeah, you don't get it. Like, I'm just gonna push you away and I'm gonna keep you at bay while I'm on this island, isolated, trying to figure it out. But that's not good. It's not sustainable for the long run. So if you want to go really far, you cannot be by yourself. You cannot be a lone wolf in a dark forest. You need your wolf pack and you need people that understand you. So if you're feeling that loneliness right now, here's what you can do to make it better. So the first thing you want to do is let go of that resentment. Be vulnerable and let people in. Don't be afraid to share your journey with people, because when people actually see that you're accountable and that you own up to your mistakes, they will not judge you if you actually talk to them and just share your mistakes and own up to them. The second thing you want to do is actually join a community of like-minded people. So let's say you want to build an online store. That's what I did. I wanted to build an online store. Well, if none of my friends are actually doing that, I need to go and find a community of people that actually go through that process so that I can relate to them, so that I can communicate with them and not feel so isolated. So this could be a community on Discord, just a WhatsApp group, a Reddit forum, whatever that might be. Just try to find that community, because trust me, no matter what you're doing right now, there are communities out there of like-minded people. And what you also need to do in these communities is provide value. So don't just let it be a one-way street. You have to provide value to the people as well. And when you help people, when you give guidance, when you provide value, you're gonna see you're not gonna feel as lonely anymore. The best thing that we can do as entrepreneurs is give back, because I guarantee you there's somebody out there right now who's going through the same thing you are and they could use your help. So get out there and find like-minded people. So the next thing you need to do is balance that solitude with the social interaction. You're still gonna need to actually feel alone. I know that sounds a bit weird, but you do. You need to be alone and you need to be by yourself in order for you to actually have that clarity in terms of thinking of the next steps, and just be super self-aware and be in that world so you can lay out the plan. Now, I'm not saying disappear like in the past, like don't be a lone wolf, but you need to balance these out. Once I realized that I can go out there and I can speak to people and I can open up and I can be vulnerable, once I realized that I can do that, I was like, okay, so now, I don't mind being by myself for a while, because I'm by myself and then I come out of that like bat cave and I'm speaking to people. And the final thing that you can do, no matter what stage you're in your entrepreneurship journey, is use that loneliness as fuel. When I was by myself, when I thought nobody really understands me at all, I was so mad. I was furious. I had that rage. I had that loneliness, but I actually transformed that into productivity. I transformed that so that I can actually have a work ethic that's just next level and that will allow me to get to where I want to get to. So use that as fuel as much as possible. Use every single negative thing as fuel. Don't be afraid of the pain. Don't be afraid of the negative feelings that you're gonna have. It's just a matter of how you react to them and how you actually use them to transform them into something else that will actually help you on your journey. So hopefully by now you have a better idea of how you could deal with that loneliness that you have. And again, just realize it's normal in this process. Whenever you're trying to create something new for yourself, just try to make your situation better. A lot of people will judge you. A lot of people will look at you weird. A lot of them will push you away. So the loneliness comes from that as well. And just accept the loneliness rather than fighting it. Accept it, but also do these things so you can make it better, so you can make your life better. Because if you want to go fast, you need to go alone. But if you want to go far, you need to go together. You need that community. If you feel like nobody really understands you right now, if you're struggling to fit in, and if you're a content creator or an entrepreneur, I started an exclusive community called Unlocked Creators, in which I want to help you deal with the hardship of just being a creator, and also help you create and monetize your own personal brands and help you throughout this journey. And I'm gonna drop the link in the description and in the comments, and I'll see you there.